the God question not recorded. I will need to try to summarize again what I wanted to say today about this matter. I think that that is the main sentiment I have. So today, certainly, I would implement it in any of the discussions of today. I would just want to clarify again, in case it has been lost, to point out either here speaking philosophically and more in more abstract terms, how we should think about energy of God in actual its real manifestation, or we are going to talk about the political aspect of it and cultural and socio-cultural aspect, how people envision such characters, what they expect or what they can accept in such under such kind of formulation, and what is the political playground and entire cultural playground around these energies. Are we talking about some kind of similar energies, or we are talking about something that stands out here as a certain kind of manifestation? Because we still talk about reincarnation, but I'm going to notice that people appear as like they're very knowledgeable about these matters, although they're just not talking about it. But appear to be that have very strong criteria what they are willing to accept in societies and what they're not willing to accept in the societies, but then everyone expects results. And if results are not there, then they're willing to go in all of devious methods out there to implement in order to be not survive only, but to be on the top of the game. And then everyone cover up, being paid good enough to cover up the stage. And we get really a very artificial definition of what is good and what's bad. And that continue to be very artificially projected on the planet. So how far we as a intelligent protocol can continue drive upon such heritage and speak even about the future. Future always means also not just a promise but sustainability. And that is beyond your promise as a person. It is how far something can sustain on its own legs, on its own ground. Or your future promise would be weaker. So future here does have two aspects. How someone is willing to promise it or to chart it. And where is the higher certainty that that future can actually sustain? It's call. That is where what is going to question always, to make us to question always the foundations upon which we continue to walk into the future. And today the foundations are very much how people on this planet today, as we speak, ended to define bad and evil versus good and positive. I have impression that we, most of the time I'm spending here, arguing on these matters, in substance, everything summarized to that kind of polarization of the planet, that someone just took with themselves the heaven, where everything is God, and everything is positive, and everything is correct, in advance, and on permanent. And then the rest of the planet is hell or cleaners, which always end up with the hell, well, because they are the cleaners, which are therefore destined to always be less correct and less godly and more evil. And we have just yesterday, I listened on one of the leading YouTube presenters out there, speaking of evil as absolute agreeable English language related protocol among certain circles. For them, evil is not a philosophical question. It is question being answered. Also, they don't talk about the definition. It is more like kind of closed circles of agreeing what is going to be evil and what is going to be God. It is more like collective closed circles, collective agreement. What is good and what is God and what is evil. And then expectation, the future to come, for them as for the rest of the world. Something here is going to break. Either your provision of future, or your present, or both. So let's get serious here. And let's really define what would be God energy and how it would manifest itself. And what would be evil energy and how it would manifest itself. In that respect, I have to notice that very often, in the way how I do my presentations, are very much sober, rather mathematical, and very often would have element of insisting or rather dictating. And we rather reach here the commandments, 10 commandments of Moses, by the voice and the energy of rather imposing something. But in the substance, this is a matter of correctness, because I am basically bringing it as a postulates, as a philosophical, mathematical postulates. And I bring the element of absolute correctness, an element of reasoning as a matter of absolute correctness, because I'm associating the level of reason. Of course, for what you need circumstances. I'm bringing circumstances to most absolute possible level, yet relevant to the realm of this world itself. That is how absolute is the absoluteness I deliver in my work. Very often, I find myself irritated that I'm being denied for a very longer period of time. Irritated that I waste my time and I'm just appearing as some kind of loser here. And also irritated because I end up being projected as a negative person. As people out there are looking at me not as I am representing God energy, but as I am representing devil energy. And I don't like that. And that makes me to be inflamed and to be very much angry, rather. Because I don't like when people think of me as a negative character. I waste plenty of energy here. Material, whatever I have been having as a material entitlement on stake here for benefit of humanity. And I end up walking on the street and someone talk of me as a negative character, I don't like it. Neither you would like it. No one would like it. It's nothing to like there. And I'm going to question on what ground you allow yourself to be the administrator of work that I deliver here. Before we go in any other further arguing what's bad and what's good. On what ground you continue to hold yourself administrator to work I deliver here. And you continue to be some kind of marketing for the work I deliver today. Is it going to make you a better person than I am? If you know that much about what's good and what's bad, how you have ended to call house of prostitution monarchy house? England will need to answer this question right now, today, before continue to command discussion on what's bad and what's evil and what's good on this planet. You want to command the discussion? Answer the question first. Or you do not command this discussion. The discussion on good and bad cannot be commanded by Western society. My verdict for today. For trashing in my face for more than 15 years, whatever you say, we are going to use against you. I'm charging Americans on the basis of daring to spell out that kind of sentence in my face. Americans today are being accused for trashing in my face my own work for more than 15 years. Confiscating work like this on their side of the equation. Americans are being accused for stepping up without stepping up for a longer period of time, but being a force that is draining down the humanity. Americans are accused for draining down their humanity for a longer period of time and playing false definition of planetary leadership. Americans are accused from continuing to confiscate my work as higher right, while in substance they exist as lower. The hobby of politicians sitting somewhere in England continue to speak of good and the evil, like they have been spending a lifetime talking about criteria. If someone was not spending a lifetime England, this directed to England population, English population. If you have not spent a lifetime teaching people what's bad, what's evil, you don't have right to use such words. But I have to notice that you have quite overballooned. I'm not going to say overballooned, but let's say completely misunderstood the entire concept of monarch. So basically what I insist on is that it will need to be noticed that I am a writer, and that is not formal writer that needs to write by directive. I'm the one catching the, basically I'm taking 24 out of 7 and I'm taking the notes. So taking 24 out of 7 is not exactly working a place. It's not defined as a working place from 8 to, I don't know, 5, 6, because technically we never stop thinking. Your entire monarchy order is about wealth and wealth and wealth. Nothing of what I do here does have wealth as a centerpiece. I mean, wealth is something that is presumed to be there, but I don't waste my time thinking about it. I presume it's there, or it has to be there. Basically, we talk about political philosophy here, and it is connecting to ancient philosophers from the territories from where I come, as you know, are very famous by the philosophers. My work is the work of political philosophy, and I'm declaring it as a monarch protocol because I don't have working time. That is why it is a monarch. Because I don't have office working time. Even if I want to find a work now, job, I don't fit from 8 to 5, 8 to 5, 6. Because the most important part of the speech is going to happen while I'm driving the car, or I will need chauffeur. Because, your office is where is your house. Because you are writer. That's definition of monarch. I'm going to stamp and seal on it. Right now, today. Now look, the night. Look, I'm shouting here. Am I evil person? Why I'm shouting? It is more like a military order, isn't it not? Because when you bring this kind of definition, look what format you need to take. It's like you define something. You want to impose something. You want to basically like stone something. Literally like stone it. Engrave it in a stone. Like make it as a rule, like a ruling. Now why you end up to associate it to prostitution is because prostitutes also do not have working time. Yet you have just decided to ignore the navy color of ink for some reason. Why you have decided to ignore the navy ink color? Let's also notice the W, which is clear reference to double of the original. It also appears as opposite of letter M, as a water reflection of letter M. Or should I say, letter M appear as a water reflection of letter W. turned to be the case. Macedonia, we need to go home. It's time to go home. Now, there is one aspect that it has been left not properly attended today, and that is the reincarnation everyone started to talk about finally, and everyone connecting it only to Tibet. I'm going to find it rather peculiar that everyone now, that when it comes to speaking about reincarnation, only one culture on the planet can officially declare that protocol. We as a planet now should question such situation. What that exactly means. I would like to hear what India means about it, think about it, what China think about it, what any other cultures think about it, and why all of them are now. I can imagine that all of a sudden everyone noticed the phenomena, and everyone is trying to build some kind of positioning on it. In that respect, I would just say, without being offensive, although when you bring yourself discussion on such levels, you will offend certain category of people. That's unavoidable. Yet I'm going to try to say I'm very respectfully discussing everything that I discuss in my work, and I always feel very much apologetic for bringing a certain less attractive arguing on side of certain on certain side, even some kind of anger at the point. But in me, anger does not last long. But I'm just questioning. I'm just saying. Are we not going to clarify before we talk about reincarnations what exactly reincarnation we would be talking about? I mean, what is the function we would be talking about? Because it is not exactly a planet. If it has to be even planetary protocol, even more we need to be a bit more specific about what exactly we are looking for. And then it follows my discussion what I talked today. Are we expecting the nice angelic face of some kind of divine see-through woman or saints speaking divinity language, or it would happen in some kind of military format, because you end up configuring the realm, and it takes what it takes to get there. Very often you end up speaking about 10 commandments, commanding, and it's not exactly angelic voice. So I just want to clarify that specific. What exactly we are looking for, and how far it is correct to speak about devil and God on this planet, or someone decided to polarize these matters because of the interface, because of how the actual voice appears, and then someone find it too harsh and it is also too much commanding, so many people will say, well, why on earth I'm going to accept any of it, and become easier. Obviously it has become much more convenient to create iron mask protocol and then to create artificial mask, so you can control both of the positions. I think this is very much logical to assume that random people of power in the entire throughout the human history would find themselves relating like that to someone falling from the sky, just like that, not literally falling from the sky, but speaking upper language, when they would be the one having the material powers and would be in position to materially charter the world. Of course we will end up talking about iron mask and artificial protocol, and the entire institutional order that would be managing such momentum, as it is a religion, that would be in task or ordered to look after such events and to channelize them properly. So everyone share, and they become shareholders in the result, in the outcome of such imposition of powers. That is how religions have become, Vatican has become participant or another chair with the rest of the political powers, a shareholding one that is very much therefore sharing the power or the consequence, the economic benefit out of polarizing the two functions. The original angel voice and how they would like to present it to the planet. So, therefore, rightfully, I'm going to ask what reincarnation we would be looking for. Today, we can make that differently. Today, we should make that differently. Today, we should talk about these matters correctly. And I somehow begin to understand now that would have been some reason why China attacked Tibet. Just we still don't know the details for it. But in substance, for any wrong, even if it is projected in news as evil event, people should always seek answers. Similarly, for Hitler, it is not going to be enough, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be enough just to say there was evil Hitler that was burning Jews in the concentrations. First of all, we have not answered that question, why Germans happen to think like that about Jews. What made them to be so angry at Jews? And second question, what is the actual number of Jews being killed? And who exactly was engaged in the exact architecture of the execution? That is Second World War related questions that are not being answered and will need to be answered. Also, today, equally, Palestinians are being attacked Jewish, by Israel, and we are not. No one knows why exactly, and why exactly. No, beyond sharing the land. If you want to share the land, you don't go and eliminate everyone to the bone. Terrorism. What that means, terrorism? What exactly means terrorism? Because these are people with families. Why you don't bring it to Supreme Court? Why you don't bring it to United Nations? Why you are the executor all of a sudden? How on earth someone is now executor like that? Since when we don't have United Nations? What's going on here? How someone can justify something like that? What's the justification behind someone to ignore United Nations to such degree and to deploy such degree of elimination versus another group beyond United Nations? What's going on here? What's going on here? Or it has been also not answered why exactly Europe and Russia are in war today on Ukraine, where Ukrainians are basically paying the price. Why Ukrainians are paying why Ukraine? What's so specific about Ukraine? What is so special about Ukraine? Because 500,000 dead bodies went out of young dead bodies of Ukrainians are being wasted in this war. 500,000. young dead bodies of Ukrainians. Why Ukraine? What's going on with Ukraine? What is so special about Ukraine? Or is it not something, or otherwise I should ask, is it not something else reason for that war than what's being declared as excuse? Is it not something else beyond? Well, we have been bothered to investigate, to go so much beyond the actual knowledge, to discuss even the fabric of the entire universe. But we cannot think of would be any other reason for war in Ukraine than the one that the parties are stating. Excuse me. But if you can bother so much thinking about the fabric of the universe and waste that much of a lifetime for it, how about you think a bit more about this planet as well? And actually we really truly answer what might be other real reason for a world today fighting over Ukraine. Would it be the reasons they're talking about, the only reasons, or there is something else that is a reason on itself? That is Ukraine itself. What is the significance of Ukraine itself? And why someone would be after Ukraine itself? And why it is anyone's business, or should I rather say, why it is anyone's business, Ukraine itself? It is more correct question to say. Why Ukraine itself is anyone's else's business that much? Of course, I would not like to make it worse. What I want to say that this war is neither about Americans or about Russians for that matter. That war is about Ukraine itself. Equally as war of Israel and Palestine is not about Americans or about someone else, it is about Palestinians and Jewish people themselves. And the real question is actually why Palestine? Or rather to notice that it is the attack on Palestine for a very long period of time, over and over and over, a repeated attack over Palestine. The matrix here that's being attacked is Palestine, not Israel. The matrix here, regretfully, Israel, is not Israel. The matrix here is Palestine. Equally as in the war with Ukraine, the matrix is not Russia, the matrix is not Europe. The matrix is Ukraine. So we have two matrix territories under attack today on the planet. One is Palestine, the other Ukraine. It sounds to me as mother and son. As Olympia and Jesus, or Olympia and Jesus. Olympia would be Palestine. Jesus would be Ukraine. Because it can't be other way around. Mother is Palestinian. Mother is Palestine. Because everything about Palestine is motherhood. It's homeland. It is hominess. It is softness and hominess and megastructure. Everything about Palestine suggests matrix. Therefore, Ukraine cannot be anything else but Jesus. Ukraine is the Jesus. That is why they are making the war there. And it is nothing about Russians. It is nothing about Americans. It is about Ukrainians themselves. And it is not about Europeans. And it is not about someone getting their hands over the territory and in tasking them with that much of a loan they need to repay. That is how much everyone is there for the point of shareholding of Ukraine. They're there gathering as vampires on the table of Jesus again. The vampires are gathering again over the table of Jesus. The vampires are gathering again over the table of Jesus being Ukraine. And Russians are only pretending that they are on the other side. Russians are just the executors in the same way how Jewish are executors for Palestine, Russians are executors for Ukraine. And it is completely fake scenario that Russia and America are in conflict. They are nothing in conflict. All of the stories are complete fake. The reality is that vampires are gathering around the table of Jesus again. Today that might well be also Serbia, and also it might go on personal account. The vampires on the planet are awakening. Our question of today would be, why that many nations have been found today in the role of vampires? And my answer is, we are making mistake that we are driving empire too much close to Africa and too close to Mediterranean. Real imperialism in the way how I talk, which is much more blue, should be on the north part of Europe, not on the south part of Europe. Therefore, we cannot revalidate today Mediterranean as imperial protocol. That is where you get vampires again and cannibals, because they are just the next line after Africa. Cannibalism is very strong on these territories. If we want to get a really protocol that I'm promoting here, we need to get North European layer, not South European layer. So the main reason why vampires are gathering today together again is Mediterranean. And even if I touch you with my work at some point of time, that has happened only in order to confiscate you, Italy. Because people of my kind do not leave behind something unattended. If my foot was there historically, it's going to be forever my eye on that land. And you will need to learn that in different way. That it is nothing to be about you, about that land on first account. That land will always be marked as imperial. And as long as being marked as imperial, my eye is always going to be there. And if my eye happen, God forbid, to reincarnate there, it will need to be marked completely blue, so no one there get confused. What is reincarnating? And what land we are talking about? Once land of Caesar forever. That's my message to Italy. We don't talk today Mussolini. No, we talk Caesar. That is how I awakened Italy. And I awakened it. Not random Italians. Because I awakened it. It's my stamp awakened there. And I am the one to mark it blue. So far I have not awakened anything else apart of Mary awakened. In Spain, everyone understands, or most people understand, it is blue protocol and blue temple. In France would understand, I hope, although I have to say it officially, formally, that would be blue temple in France as well. Any of the lands that I have awakened today would have blue color as a stamp. England as well, blue stamp. Therefore, Israel also blue stamp. Serbia blue stamp. As I'm awakening these territories on Mediterranean, notice I'm awakening them as a blue territories. Not as a yellow, not as a pink of India, not as yellow of Africa. I'm awakening them as blue related to Nordic territories. My verdict for today, otherwise we get cannibals in Mediterranean awakened, and vampires awakening on the planet and dancing around Ukraine, asking for the next portion of blood to drink. We don't want that awakened. That is why you keep that Italy silent, for God's sake. What on earth you are going to awaken from there? Everything that's there you will need to be rather hidden than awakened. You have not bothered to make some kind of proper political reform declared. What on earth you're awakening? Dancing with old nations out there as it is India. That is a nightmare for the entire protocol of Europe. Europe cannot be that much Mediterranean in 21st century. My verdict for today, Europe will need to be much more Nordic today, because that is the real substance of the entire history of the entire imperial protocol in the way how I am reincarnating it today. And because I am the one reincarnating it, I am the one dictating the colors and the interface. The interface has to be blue. End of discussion here. One of the colors of the Ukrainian flag is blue. There we are. The other is yellow, but the first one is blue. We don't know in what form or shape that blue happens. Fact is that it happens in 50%. 50% blue of certain territory is not to be underestimated. In this case scenario, it is what prevails. I have impression is the other way around. I have impression the vampires awakening again. I mean, the cannibals of African descent. Here it is. I'm completely wrong. I'm completely here switching into 8 mode to Serbia and promote blue Serbia in Ukraine, because I recognize the blue Ukraine is in form of Serbia. So that is my 8 I do here while walking from Mediterranean to Ukrainian. When in Mediterranean I'm angry at black Africa, while I'm on Mediterranean, and I'm angry at the yellow manifestation of it. And that's the yellow that would happen in Ukraine, and I continue to be into negative about it. I recognize blue in that case scenario here in Ukraine as face of Serbia, as it is face of Serbia blue in Serbia itself. Certainly we are going to find it in Croatia a lot. We're going to find it all over Europe a lot. Europe is full of blue color. Europe is gigantic blue basin, and that is why 2 world wars are happening there, and someone wants to make the third one. Because actually the real blue dimension is in that region, as sliding from the North Pole after the Ice Age. But also I'm talking about metaphysical protocol. I'm talking about metaphysical protocol energetic platform. It's North Pole platform, and energetically speaking, metaphysically speaking, North Pole platform. Now notice that when you're on North Europe, you're much more speaking socialism, equality, this kind of political philosophy I'm talking about. When you go to on Mediterranean layer, it's more about predatory imperialism. The real dimension of war in Ukraine and war with Russians allegedly would be also questioning the effect that would have over my work. I have to notice now that the entire planet is talking about some kind of frozen Russian assets. First of all, the planet does not have right to speak about frozen assets, especially not wastelands, when they have been participating in devastating Middle East in last 10 years, and actually entire previous century. Middle East is very much territory officially occupied by Western territories. It is rather laughable that they found today themselves credible enough to freeze someone else's assets for political reasons. It should be other way around, Westlands. Your assets should be frozen, And trust me, you start bringing that level of rhetoric on the planetary stage. It has become certain as we speak about your assets being frozen in very near future with exactly the same logic you're employing. Well, we are going to use here the biblical saying, do not wish to someone what you don't wish for someone else. Now you speak today about frozen assets of Russians. Tomorrow you may find yourself the world speaking about your frozen assets all over the planet. That is very certain to happen, including about assets that are allegedly on your territories. Nominated as yours may easily be translated into, well, not being yours exactly that much. The present level of discussion certainly is bringing all of that. That is, the nomination accounts are on question mark. But my question was much more specific. Now that I'm launching the protocol Olymp, which is actually very much financial project, why I'm being here completely covered up by some kind of reparation stories about territories that are being damaged as I speak, deliberately I would assume, just to prevent me to bring my financial request for my reparation, and therefore accordingly delivering Olymp as a result. And why I would like to listen about some frozen assets, apart of the fact that has been invested in the biggest castle of Russia. And now if I ask Russia for a reparation or just for a friendly gesture to build me a temple in Olymp, because they were the closest brothers to us, Orthodox territories, they have the excuse, well, the assets are being frozen by European Union, so we cannot exercise our goodwill. That is the real effect of your Russian frozen assets. I don't believe nothing of your shareholding stories, of the round table. In any case scenario, I'm hanging with financial projects here that need to be financed out of reparation money that you owe to the territory. Who is going to pay that bill? Yes, who is going to pay the bill called Olymp? Earthians. Earthians, who is going to pay the bill called Olymp? Forget about your Palestine or Ukraine. This is a more important question. It's a question of planetary office. Who is going to finance it? And when that's going to start? I would seriously prefer to call Russians for it, because it's somehow Nordic line. Well, how I can ask them when they have 30 billions or 300 billions, whatever, billions frozen asset? Or should I read B lions differently? So 300 B lions frozen Russian assets. I'm asking Russians anyway to sponsor my Olymp preparation and to ask the World Bank to participate. I'm asking Russians to be the executors of recovering the Olymp project. I'm asking Russians to be the technical executors of the project Olymp, starting from generating money to actual execution. That is going to give them much more noble platform to think about than war in Ukraine. And the rest of the world would not like to miss to be where they really need to be. So may they also forget about Ukraine. It would be the question of where we need to bring the latest attention of the world. Let's fight like that. And so we'll get out of it in real terms.